Good day, all my Jeeping friends. Today's video is about, well, let's just say I did a power steering pump. Okay, to some of you seasoned mechanics out there thinking, so what? No big deal. And you're right. Typically, it's no big deal. I'll tell you what, down in the description, I'll put a link to a Jeep Cherokee ZJ that we did a power steering pump on. Walking apart. Took a little over an hour, maybe. Easy. And ZJs are a lot tighter under the hood than the YJs are. So, no big deal. But my girl here wanted to throw a fit. She didn't want to give up that old power steering pump, even though the shaft is bad, the bearing was going bad, seals were pouring fluid everywhere. It needed a new pump. But my girl didn't want to give it up. So, I could sit here and just go through this whole introductory thing, but tell you what, before we start getting into the video thing, hit that thumbs up for me, subscribe if you haven't, and at the end of the video, give me a little comments of what you think. Have you ever had a hard time on a simple job? This is one of those. Hit that thumbs up. Let's get on with the video. Good day, ladies and gentlemen out in YouTube land. Well, let's take a wild guess at what our video is about today. Look up all over my hood, coming over on this side, all the way down through here, down there on my differential. Look how wet that is. Coming down the power steering line, down there on my hose. A lot of wetness going on down there. Yes, people, I have totally blown a power steering pump. A couple days ago, I was heading my way to work and noticed that the steering was a little bit tight, a little bit notchy. It's kind of like I was turning the wheel and go, it just kind of like shudder back and forth. I was like, okay, something definitely ain't right. And the closer I got to work, which I got about a 45-minute drive to work, the closer I got, the worse it got. Well, when I parked in my little parking space, when I got to my parking space, that's it. Walked in front of the Jeep, and there's power steering fluid just pouring out the front of it. So I was like, dang it. So I popped the hood, look, and it's coming out the top of the reservoir. And I'll check the lid, check the seal on the lid, and everything's working just fine, seemed fine. I mean, as far as the lid sealing, no breaks in it or anything like that. So the only thing I figured it could be is when that pump goes bad, it's aerating, or cavitation, or however you want to call it, put a lot of air inside the fluid, and it's pushing it out the top of the reservoir, instead of the power steering pump actually pumping it through the system. 32 1250 tires, so that pump going bad, it's kind of a little bit of a bear to turn it. Not too bad because the pump ain't totally gone, but it's definitely time to replace it. So today's video, that's right, we're doing a power steering pump. Let's get her done. Use some good old gunk engine degreaser, sprayed on it real well. Let it sit for about 10-15 minutes or so. Took the water hose, sprayed everything off, and then took my air line from the compressor, dried everything off it pretty well. Everything seems to be pretty clean now. See, not too much gunk. So now I'm going to drain my reservoir. Now you guys notice I'm just moving my reservoir around. If you really got a sharp eye, if you know your Jeeps real well, if you look real close at something right here, see my finger? That's not a Jeep radiator. It's actually a radiator out of a 96 Ford Explorer. And your factory Jeep radiators has a little tab sticking out right here that this bolts onto. So whenever you take this off, you're going to have two bolts, like right along in here, that removes your power steering reservoir. My other radiator has sprung a pretty bad leak, and well, just for the time being, I had this Explorer radiator right here that I'd stripped out. That Explorer I had stripped out. It actually fit pretty well. So, it's a lot thicker than the Jeep radiator too, by a huge margin. This has got two 1-inch cores in it. It's a big, hefty radiator. Anyway, enough of that. So now I'm going to get the fluid out of this thing right here, so I can minimize my mess. Then we'll get that belt off and start taking the pump off. I was going to show you guys how to do it by the vacuum pump that I had laying here a moment ago. But I thought, you know what? There's a faster way of doing this. Little air nozzle here, or you get the one that's got the little trigger style. Actually, the trigger style works a lot better. It's just a lot easier to deal with. But you take this little tip right here, little slit right here, stick it just inside there. Now, you may have to work with it, find that sweet spot to where whenever you turn on the air, it creates a vacuum inside this bottle. It'll pull that fluid right up out of there. You see I pulled quite a bit of fluid out of it. And also, a moment ago, I went and pulled my vacuum pump back out. I was going to go ahead and just pull a big, huge, hard vacuum on it and walk off and let it come back and I pump it up again just so I didn't have to sit here and hold it. My vacuum pump is apparently DOA, so therefore, I'm back to the hose method. But because I tried to use my vacuum pump, I pulled that end off where I had that little split cut right here. I pulled that off so I could seal it inside the hose. Well, of course, like I said, the vacuum pump didn't want to work now, so watch this. Take this, and you don't have to have the little slit inside here, stick the nozzle in. But to get this, now it's going to get loud here, so what I'm going to do is watch real close as I take this, and I'm going to pitch it at different angles and different distances from this end. And when you hit that sweet spot, you'll see the fluid come back up through here and start draining out. It's about empty. I've about got most of the fluid out. So you might want to check your volume. About to get loud again. See the fluid? Pretty darn smart for an old country boy, huh? Well, got that old reservoir all cleaned out there, so now I'm going to see what I got to do to get that rascal off the pump. How do I know this is the factory pump? Because, well, let me move this crap right here out of the way and I'll show you. Look right there at the end of my finger. See that clamp? That is the factory band style, where they just wrap a piece of metal around it, then they take and crimp it down, which squeezes the pipe, the return line, to the power steering pump. It has every single one of them intact. So therefore it tells me this pump has existed since 1991. Now, let's get this air box out of the way. We got here, snap that. Got one right here, snap that. Got one right here. Back this zoom up a little bit. Pop that one loose. Unhook that one up, it's kind of a pain in the tail. I'm going to pull this loose, because you want to make all the room you can, because it's kind of tight to get to that hose down there anyway. Then we take this, then we got to pop this loose and pull that off, and then we pull this off. So anyway, y'all see what to do there. So I'm going to go ahead and put down the camera so I can remove all the rest of the air stuff here, take the box out. Now look at all that room once you get that air box out. Now this hose here, which is your return line that pull from the reservoir, now that's gonna be a lot easier to get to cut that doggone little band right there. It's pretty tough metal, so we gotta get inside there and cut that rascal. Now what I did on those factory bands, got me a regular pair of wire cutters here. Grabbed hold of it this way, it kind of squeezed it and worked it back and forth, which made it become unaligned. Then you grab a side right here and twist. It gets it up there. Uh-oh, can you see what the camera sees? Give me just a second on the camera, can't figure out what to take this in. There we go. So, get your cutters underneath there, keep twisting, pull up on it. There it is. Now you should be able to get that hose up right there. Now there's a good chance that you're going to still lose some fluid, because even though I vacuumed that reservoir out, down inside the hose itself it didn't pull all that out. So I'm not going to pull that quite yet. Now I'm going to go ahead and loosen up my bolts down here to loosen up my belt. Okay, to loosen up the power steering pump, you're going to have to loosen here, this bolt here. You got one here, one way underneath here, and they're 12 and 13 millimeter, just so you get your wrenches ready. Then I can't see the camera sees, right there's one. Now along this plate right here, this, you can loosen this right here till your face turns blue and nothing's going to happen, because way back up inside here on the surface of this plate is another nut that loosens up, that allows the adjuster slide. It locks it in place or loosens it up to allow it to slide. So you've got to loosen this, and way up underneath here is another nut that you got to loosen that up too. I'm gonna see if I can get to cram this camera down inside there to see it. Okay, there's the other nut I was talking about. It's on the surface. You can see the power steering pump leaking, and where it's leaking at is right there's a seal. As I bring the camera up, I'll kind of point it out to you, especially when we get off to change everything out. That it's leaking right behind the pulley. There's a seal that goes around that shaft. That's where it's leaking at. and it's throwing a big fit. So anyway, there's that nut you got to loosen after you loosen everything else up, or you loosen that one up first, actually, however you want to do it. So now I'm going to try to bring this camera out with the camera on so you can see where I went to. So I'm tilting the camera, facing it down so I can bring it out. And there you go. Because here's the pulley, and that nut I just showed you is right back up behind the pulley right here. So that's what you got to get to loosen that baby up and take it out. You know, this ratchet right here, I like it for a lot of things, but I mean, I'm not one to use it for breaking nuts or bolts loose. But this is one of those spots where it's beautiful. See the shaft right here? It telescopes out, and it's made by Cobalt. And if I can find one on Amazon, I'll put a link down below for you so you can get you one. Turn this shaft, turn the handle. It just loosens that bolt right up. And you see my belt, just as floppy as it can be. Worked out real well. That ratchet's got its place, and that's one of its places that shines big time. Alright, I'm gonna get the rest of the bolts out so I can get this pump out of here. Now, once this is loose enough, just take your fingers, back side of that belt, push your thumb here, pull back on the belt, and you can walk it right off. Once you get right there, you can just push right here, push around it. Ta-da! Not that so easy. Alright, let's take some more junk off. Alright, we're into a little issue here. This is your pressure line for your power steering. To save yourself a lot of headache while you got the pump bolted on, it gives you the ability to put your wrench on here, pull your wrench toward the front of the Jeep to break this line loose from this fitting here. Well, when all the plants align, the grass is right color green, what's supposed to happen? This part breaks loose from this, and you screw this right here out, and the line comes off, and the world is good. If you're about to do what I'm about to do, that means you're having a bad day. Because when I pulled this to loosen it, the fitting broke loose from the pump. You're not going to be able to get that line off like that. It's just not going to happen. So what we got to do now is get that pulley off there, so I can put my wrench in from this side to hold that fitting in place while I pull this. Because you do not have enough room to put a wrench in here. So we're about to pull this pulley right here, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it. Now what you're going to need is pulley puller and an installer set. Now you can buy these like Harbor Freight or get them on Amazon. If I find one, I'll put one down, a link down below in the description where you guys can pick one of these up. They are absolute lifesavers. It's not just for Jeeps. There's many cars that use the exact same method to pull the pulley off the pump. Has an assortment of different fittings here for different pumps. Thrust bearing right here for whenever you reinstall the pulley. This goes in front of the thrust bearing for it to ride on. And I've already got a couple of the parts out right now to set up for pulling the pulley off the Jeep. The parts I've got pulled out of the kit is this threaded shaft. Then you got this nut right here that has this flange on it. This little button right here that just slides in and out. They got a little rubber O-ring that makes it stay in. That goes up inside the pulley, which you'll see here in a moment. This is the locking collar that pulls the pulley off the shaft. So let me get this set up real quick and I'll show you how it works. Here's what we got to do. This piece right here, you thread this nut onto the shaft. That goes inside there. Run this back. I mean, you're about right along there. You may need to adjust a little bit, plus or minus a little bit. But then we take these, take this, put it up against this, and put that collar in place because you only got so many hands. And there's two surfaces of this tool here. You got a wide flange here and a narrow flange here. The wide flange, you want to go on the back side of the nut here. Just in the camera shot, yeah, here we go. So you want to go inside there, see how it locks inside that groove. This will encapsulate around like that and lock onto the collar of the power steering pump. So then we take this, Okay, I'm going to run this back a little bit more. Okay, so we're locking onto the, ooh, look at that shaft, it's about done. Take the other half here, take the other half, and people forgive me, I'm trying to watch the camera and do this both. Put that in place, then you take the collar, slide that in place, which holds all the collars, the locking rings in place. I'm about to lose my glasses. Now you want to thread this shaft to the point that you feel tension being pulled out on this right here. And daggone it, it slipped. The rare is that sometimes these collars you flip them the other way. It depends on your pulley that you're pulling. So let's try these the other way. And the deep groove going on. Yeah. So it's seating a little better there. Put this there. Now put your collar back on. There we go. Those collars, will they engage around that groove? You got the deep side and the shallow side like I showed you a moment ago. You may have to reverse them. That again depends on the pulley that you're pulling. And once you get that in place, you need to get you a wrench to go right here. I'm sorry, I'm watching the camera. I can't see what it's seeing. Here we go. Messing with the camera. Right here, you're gonna need a wrench here and a wrench here, and you tighten them up. As you tighten them up, it's going to take the pulley and pull it outward this way. What you do not, I repeat, do not want to do is get one of those 3-jaw pullers to pull on the outside of the gear, outside the pulley here. This pulley is made out of plastic. If you get one of those 3-jaw pullers to grab all the way out here and pull it off, I promise you, you will break that pulley and you will be buying a new one. Do not do that. You've got a fiber reinforced plastic that is wrapped around a metal core that this puller is now grabbed hold of to pull this out, okay? So I'm gonna grab a couple wrenches and I'm gonna pull that pulley off so we can get that daggone line out of there. Okay, I have a wrench set up here, lodged against where my airbox is sitting here, where the airbox was sitting. That will hold that wrench in place. Now take a 1/2-inch wrench here, put it on that, and just pull straight up. And I promise you, it's not easy at all. So keep pulling upward, and the pulley will start backing off. Check the camera. As you pull the wrench that way toward the passenger side, toward the driver's side, it will get tighter, and it'll get tighter, and all of a sudden it'll get really loose on you because you're pulling that pulley off that shaft. It's a press fit. So all you think you can do is keep pulling, putting the wheaties to it, and golly, that shaft is done for. That explains why occasionally I was having my belt slipping. So I'm gonna quit gabbing and take this rascal off. Changed over to a ratchet. Oops. What I'm doing, see my finger here? Every time I loosen the ratchet, it's wanting to make this wrench right here turn loose. So whenever I go to reset the ratchet, I hold this, push that ratchet down, and pull up. Okay, here's my dilemma at the moment. This is the factory pulley, power steering pump, everything like I showed you earlier. It's coming, I'm pulling this thing apart. So I've already went and purchased another pulley because this crap ain't coming out in one piece. I still gotta get that off. So I'll let you know how I do it here in just a bit. Okay, remember earlier I told you guys about not putting the 3-jaw puller on the pulley because it would bust its made out of plastic? There it is. Now, like I told you a minute ago, this thing right here is coming apart, so therefore I went ahead and just got back from the auto parts store getting me another pulley, so I'm going to destroy this sucker, obviously. I already have. Now that I took a pair of channel locks and busted it apart, and it was not that hard at all. I mean, I didn't pull very hard, it came apart. Now I can get me a wrench in here a little bit deeper and maybe get this and this to separate. Got a wrench to fit this, and got one to fit this, and I tried to break this loose from the fitting that goes down inside the pump. Every wrench I put here, even a good quality Cobalt line wrench, is spreading. I mean, it's just opening the jaws right up. So this is totally seized inside this fitting right here. Like I said, I got a new pulley to replace this, and I busted so I could get in a little bit deeper. Plus, see right here, this pulley is so seized on that pump it's not going to come off. So at this point, I've already called AutoZone. They're going to have me a new pressure line in the morning. But what I'm thinking of doing now, be it right, be it wrong. Oh yeah, also I tried to take it loose from the gearbox down below the steering box, and it's in the fitting is seized to the line, so I'm about to twist the line in two, so hopefully it's not damaged. But if I'm going to get a new line, it ain't going to matter anyway. So my next thought is I'm going to go ahead, remove the pump completely from the bracket. Since this part's already broken loose anyway, I'm going to try to straighten this line just enough without kinking it. Maybe I can rotate the pump off the fitting. Now what's underneath this right here, it's not just a fitting screwed into the pump. Down below it is a valve and a screen that kind of filters everything, the fluid as it rolls through. Providing that fitting is clean on the inside, I might be able to reuse that fitting inside the new pump and be able to get this baby back together tonight. If not, it'll be tomorrow before I get this thing back together. You ever just have one of those days? I'm having it. Alright, I've got the pump mostly off. You have a bolt back here, one that runs through here, and one that comes all the way through that arc right there, which are all accessible from the back, except for that one, of course, is from the front. Remember I mentioned earlier about that for the tensioner, that bolt? Right there is the stud. I'm trying to bust the pulley around here. Right there. That's the stud right there that tensions your belt, power steering pump, and all that stuff. The thought process of, hey, I'll just take a nut off right there and I can take the pump out. No, not necessarily, because if you look right here at the end of my thumb, that's the bolt right there that tightens the belt. It's a long rascal. So you got two choices. Back that one out, that'll remove everything, include this bracket that's bolted to the pump. Okay? Now, the other choice is you can get into this bracket here, tuck your wrench down behind here, and take out each one of those. Well, good luck with that. Once you take all these out and the pump will actually shift forward over to the side like it's sitting right now, you can access this one. But again, it's on the back side of this pulley. And if you've got the factory pulley, that is easier said than done. The replacement pulley that I'm putting on this has holes through it. So you can actually stick your socket all the way through the, socket through this pulley, and it gets to the bolts that way, make life a lot easier. But this particular style here, golly, I can't talk. This particular style pulley, you got to pull the pulley off to get to these right here comfortably. Now the bolts are pretty short, so if you can access them from a wrench, with a wrench, get down here, you're good to go, because they'll come out just enough to allow you to take the pump off. So anyway, I want to clean that bolt up right there anyway, the one that tensions the belt, because it's like ridiculously hard to turn. So I want to take it off, run across a wire brush, and clean the threads up real well, so it'll be a little bit easier to maintenance for a little bit later on, because obviously it's not going back together today because I got to get a new pressure line. Okay, went ahead and took those 3 screws out. Let's get that pump out here where it's accessible, and what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to bend that line straight enough to try to rotate it off there, because this fitting here is broken loose from inside there. Now what's going to happen, this is not, let me repeat this is not the correct way to do this. What should happen is this fitting here comes out of this fitting. This fitting is seized in here right now, so it's not coming out. but I at least want to get the new pump in place. So whenever I get my new pressure line tomorrow, I can just simply bolt the new pressure line in and call it done. Okay, now y'all gonna get to see me do what I have to do to make this crap happen. So what I'm gonna do is, this is bolted in down there, but you want to grab it right here, push to straighten that line out as much as possible. Now if I was actually going to reuse it, what you want to watch is this right here. As long as you don't kink that line, you should be able to reuse it. So, sorry, I just want to turn the viewfinder around so make sure I was getting in the frame. So what I did, I pulled up on it, which made this right here go straight some. So now, I'm going to rotate the pump like this. Dump all the fluid out of it, make a mess like I was trying to prevent doing, but hey, sometimes you just do what you got to do. Get that out of the way. Now, like I said, I'm going to get to a certain point. This is going to pop out, and there's going to be a valve and a spring down inside there. Now, all you people who don't work on cars very often, power steering pumps usually are not this hard. Usually I can change out a power steering pump on a Jeep inside of an hour. But this one is the original 1991 pump, and everything about it is seized up. And some of my past videos I've mentioned that this Jeep was severely abused before I got it. It was a play toy on a farm for a 14-year-old kid. So you imagine what a 14-year-old kid did to this Jeep. Okay, here we go. It popped loose. I've let it out slowly. Get my hand out of the way. So there's the valve, there's the fitting right there that should unscrew from here instead. But it didn't. So, just for the kicks and giggles, and this is not something that you guys are going to have to do in the event you're changing out a power steering pump. But there's a little screen right there. That screen, oops, sorry. There's a screen right there. That screen filters the fluid as it goes through. It goes in through there, and there's like a little pressure valve inside there because it squeezes out through this hole right here also. But it sets in like that, flat spot like that. So honestly, now this is one of those situations where I can make a choice that I can change the O-ring on that one and put that fitting into the new pump and possibly call it good for the night. Or I can use my brain and go ahead and replace that pressure line since it's coming in tomorrow. Decisions. But as much as I would love to have this thing together tonight, I'm not going anywhere tonight, so it's not a big deal. And I can ride my motorcycle in the morning to go pick up the pump, pick up the pressure line. So in the event the pressure line tomorrow, when it comes in, if it's the wrong one, I will reuse that fitting right there to get this thing back together. Cool. All right. Again, I'm going to finish pulling that tensioner bolt out of there. I'm going to run it through a wire brush to clean the threads up so it's not so hard to loosen and tighten my belt. So that's where I'm at the moment. We'll probably pick this up in the morning. Now here's the bracket that was bolted to the power steering pump right here, and there's that bolt here that I was mentioned earlier that's really hard to get to, that's like way down below the bottom of the pulley. This here is the block. It sets it here like this. Your tensioner bolt runs through this right here, and as you tighten and loosen it, it pivots up here. So as you tighten and loosen here, it makes this bracket move back and forth like this, therefore loosening and tightening your belt. Okay, you got the threads all cleaned up on that. And how this works, like I said, showed you a minute ago, pivots like this. This piece, like that. Actually, it goes up like this. And look how much better that bolt runs in now there. All because I took a wire brush to the threads right here and scrubbed them, all the junk out of those threads. So now me loosening and tightening my belt is going to be so much easier. Now I guess if I hadn't had so much problems out of that power steering pump changing out, I probably wouldn't have done this, but since I've got a little downtime, to get my pressure line in the morning. I thought it was a good time for a little preventive maintenance. Look how much better that is. Even here. Of course, there's a washer that goes on that. Look at that. Oh, so much easier. So much easier.